The Jedi News Interview. Mark Newbold interviews Dave Dorman.
Okay.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, welcome to Jedi News.
Thank you.
Great to have you here as a guest. We'll kick straight in with a very, very topical question. You've come back to the Star Wars universe with the covers of Crimson Empire 3, and over the past few years you've stepped in and stepped out and stepped in and stepped out of Star Wars, and now you're back. How has it felt going back to that arena and doing Star Wars artwork again?
Well, yeah, it's been real good to finally get back to doing a regular series. As you've said, I've popped in and out with projects that Dark Horse and Lucasfilm have asked me to participate in, but nothing in the past years that's been a regular series again. So to continue with the Crimson Empire series and do the finale with the 6 covers for the series is very exciting. The fans have definitely been asking about Crimson Empire for the past couple of years, and rumors were that Dark Horse was finally getting around to it, and then at Celebration 5 down in Florida, they did make the announcement that it was going to happen for 2011. So we have started on it. I have done the first cover, which I believe Dark Horse just recently put on their website, as promotion. So that is up now, and I will be putting that on my blog as well, since it's officially released. And that's the first of the 6 covers. I'm very excited about doing this series. I think my art has matured a little bit as well, and that should show through with the art that I'm doing for Crimson Empire.
Well, there's 2 questions there you've just brought to mind. The first one is, when you do a standalone piece of Star Wars art, as opposed to doing a series, for example, when you did the Dark Empire covers, they sat together as a little a series of images. Does that sort of inform what you do in piece 1, given that you know that there will kind of be not a template as in copycat, but a thematic style going through those 6 covers? Is it the same with Crimson Empire, or are they all very unique?
The covers for the Crimson Empire have always been a little bit unique unto themselves, even though they were part of a series.
Yeah.
Unlike Dark Empire, where I had a sort of element within the artwork that tied the covers together, with Crimson Empire it's been a little bit different. Obviously, there's always been a red element to the covers, because that's part of what it's about.
Yeah.
But my approach to any series covers is to make each one different than the last one, so that when you are looking on the shelf, seeing the books, there's no confusion whatsoever whether you've picked up that book or you've seen it before or you haven't seen it before. So it makes it easy to say that's the new Crimson Empire cover.
Okay. When you came back to Crimson Empire 3, we all remember way back when you did the original Crimson Empire and then Crimson Empire 2, and there was talk of there being a Crimson Empire 3 quite a while ago. Were you ever involved with that? Or was it one of those conversations that was talked about but never quite got off the ground?
Mike Richardson and Randy Stradley and I had talked about it over the years when we would get together in San Diego. I just wanted to get sort of an update so that I could, place the series of books into my working schedule. But, over the years, it was just a situation where they weren't comfortable with the story yet. They were still, working out, what the continuation of the storyline was going to be and the climax of the story, because this is the last miniseries for the Crimson Empire.
Yeah.
And it was just a situation where they hadn't got quite the story that they wanted to tell together. And so every year, I'd ask them and we'd talk about it a little bit. And every year it was just, we're just not ready. And this past summer they were. So, it has been in the talking stages. We've beat it around a little bit, but, it's up to the writers to get it going, and that's Mike Richardson and Randy Stradley as the editor. So
Yeah.
they finally got something that they're happy with, and we put it into production.
Now, in the world of cover art, you're obviously a big name. So when a series like Crimson Empire 3 comes along, above and beyond your involvement in doing the covers, do you have any other involvement in the series?
Occasionally there is an involvement. Obviously, I'm working with the writer and the editor on what imagery they would like on the cover to both sell the book and to tell the story.
Yeah.
But for the most part, if I am involved in the writing at all, it's very early on, within the conceptual part of the storyline. Usually, I'm just pulled on board to, produce the cover after the story's already written or at least already plotted through. Certainly I have a freedom within the imagery on the cover to, add something a little bit more to it to tell the story without really giving away, plot elements from inside. But as far as the actual story goes, it's very rarely that I get involved with the story as the cover artist.
So it's kind of like being a movie poster artist, kind of like how you would imagine somebody like Drew Struzan would have been involved. That you're seeing the media after it's been completed to a certain degree.
Right, to a certain degree. I mean, like movie poster artists, like Drew, I could go on the set and look around and see the makings of the movie, and it's the same with scripting. I can talk with the writer and see where the story's going, and maybe add my 2 cents here and there. But they're just 2 cents, and they can be given or taken. But I can be updated as the story's going, but as far as actual work goes, yeah, it's pretty much relegated to producing the best single piece of art that I can for each particular cover.
For the impact, just to catch people's eye on the shelves or wherever it may be.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is that book is going to be on the shelf next to 100 other books.
Yeah.
That come out that week, and so I need to make it as dynamic as possible to catch the eye of the casual reader. I mean, the regular reader is going to pick up, Crimson Empire because they're Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
But so I want to make that cover very distinct so that when they walk in, they say, "Oh, that's a new issue," so they'll pick it up. But I also want to make the cover dynamic enough for the casual reader who might not have picked up a Crimson Empire before, or might not even be a Star Wars fan before. But the image will be powerful enough that their eye will stop on that book just for a second to them to say, "That's an interesting, cover. Let me take a look at what's inside."
Yeah. Now, you mentioned earlier when we started talking that you feel that your style has matured to a certain degree, which obviously everybody wants to mature and make adjustments and changes as their career goes on, whatever they're doing. Stepping back a little bit, when you first started out, what were your major influences upon you as an artist when you were a young artist starting out? Who influenced you?
Well, obviously Frazetta, big influence on me. That he was one of the main reasons I started to paint.
Yeah.
Was because I thought his paintings were very dynamic, and moving through as I got better as an artist, and then more educated in sort of illustration history. A lot of artists from the 30s and 40s, N.C. Wyeth and Frank Schoonover and Dean Cornwell and a lot of these guys from the 30s and 40s influenced me as far as learning how to approach a piece as an illustration rather than, quote, fine art. And so that helped, and also, modern illustrators such as Drew Struzan were definitely an influence on me as well. I mean, you can see direct ties from a lot of my earlier stuff to the styles that Drew was working on early on, and I don't hide that whatsoever. I mean, every artist that is an influence, I try to recognize that they were an influence. So I mean, he really set the style, obviously, with Indiana Jones posters.
Yeah.
Him and Amsel, both did some really nice work for the movie posters there. And then Tommy Jung, who did some of the original Star Wars posters, and then Drew took it over a little bit later in the Star Wars series. Those guys were certainly influences on me. So I know that fans like that style, and so I have pursued that style in a lot of the work that I've done for Lucasfilm, because that's what they like, and certainly that's what I enjoy painting.
Yeah. So when you started out as a younger artist, what media did you use? Was it pencils? Was it paints? How did you start out?
Well, originally I started out wanting to be a comic book artist, just doing interiors, pencils and inks and such. And to that extent, I went to the Joe Kubert School in Dover, New Jersey for a year. And this would have been back in 1978, 79, very early in the school's history. And so I spent a year there learning how to do comic book illustration.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was teaching myself how to paint, and I found that I was happier doing single illustrations rather than doing a page of 5 or 6 panels of individual small illustrations. My concentration and my interest was more suited to doing one large illustration. And that sort of fell into the painting, obviously, because that's what paintings are.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I left the Kubert School after the first year, and just moved on to teaching myself how to paint, just in my little small studio in my parents' room or my parents' house. And so I was just lived at home with my folks for a couple of years, and had some part-time jobs, and just spent most of my free time teaching myself how to paint. And eventually in 1982, I made a trip to New York and made my first big sale to Heavy Metal magazine for a cover for their July of 1982 issue. And that was the one that got the ball rolling.
Wow.
And so after that, within about a year and a half, I was making a living, doing art for various companies, smaller companies in the comics industry, Comico and Adventure Comics, and some of the companies that aren't around anymore.
Yeah.
But they were there, and they were hiring young guys, and I was one of those young guys.